Welcome inside Blackie's Bulldog Tavern for the Marty Fine Coaches Show here on ON 1240 and the Bryant Sports Network. Tristan Hobbs joined alongside the head coach of the Bryant football team, Marty Fine. Coach, welcome back from a bye week. How'd it go?
Well, we buyed. There's positives in there. We got a lot done. We feel really good about where we are. We've healed up a bunch. We have a bunch of players coming back that we've been missing. We had really good practices. The kids really understood what we were trying to do. Their tempo was terrific. We gave them some off time, and when we practiced this morning, I thought we had great bounce and great energy. And so, we think we put ourselves in a good spot. We got a month stretch here, 4 weeks in a row, 2 on the road, 2 at home, where we're right in the middle of this league thing, and it's important you give yourself your best chance.
Bulldogs are 2-3 on the season right now. They are 1-0 in Northeast Conference play. They had a bye week.
Why don't we stress that? Say that one again.
They are 1-0 in Northeast Conference play. They had a bye week last week. This week they get back to Northeast Conference play. They go to St. Francis University out in Laurel, Pennsylvania. The Red Flash picked to finish 3rd in the preseason poll. They had an outstanding year last year, and they are having a good year this year as well. They are 3-3. They just beat Robert Morris in their NEC opener on Saturday in Pittsburgh. We'll talk more about the Red Flash as we go on here. But Coach, just wanted to talk a little bit more about the bye week for your team. I know you guys had practices up until about Wednesday of last week. You had a JV game last Thursday. How do you think the team, maybe you can't tell, it's too early, has responded from the bye week?
Well, we did practice this morning, and I thought today was terrific, really. I thought that they came back focused. They got a lot of things out of the way on the weekend. This is our midterm time, so there's a lot of studying done. The kids were committed and got ahead on some of those things. Really, we use the bye week for 3 things. One, we want to practice really hard and really fast. We want to get back to kind of our training camp mentality of let's go as hard as we can and get reps. And I think that's a good thing to do. You don't have a game Saturday. You're not saving yourself for anything. Go practice. 2, we want to get guys that haven't gotten a lot of reps back in the swing of things. So we had guys that were injured and nicked up, and by God, they got out and practiced, and that's really good. And then you got to get healthy guys back. And we thought we had some of that as well. So I was really happy with the 3 or 4 days of work we got in last week. Then we were off. The varsity kids were off. They lifted Thursday morning, played a JV game Thursday afternoon, but then Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And then came back this morning. And when you come back, especially when you come back early in the morning, sometimes, you don't get everything you hope for. But our practice today was about as good as it's going to get.
Coach, last year your team had a bye week the second week of the season. This week it comes after 5 weeks. How much more beneficial is it?
A huge difference. There's we talk about each body has so many hits in it. God granted you 1,000 hits or 800 hits or 9,000 hits or whatever it is. And that's the guys that continue to play are not just blessed with great ability, but their bodies can withstand it. But the average 1AA college football player, there's a wear and tear issue. And there's an effect when you play on Saturday and you play in 50 or 60 plays as hard as you can, your body is tore down. And to have some time off to rejuvenate and to heal and to feel better, this really matters. And when your bye week is the beginning of the season and the end of the season, they're really ineffective. To get one in the middle is really, and we don't get it very often, but it's really good scheduling and really gives us our best chance to go into this 1 month stretch, knowing how important it is, as fresh and as healed up as we can be.
Talked about midterms just moments ago. You're 5 weeks in an 11-game season, so I guess roughly halfway. Mm-hmm. Report card for your team. You obviously looked at a lot of film over the bye week and looked at what you guys have done well.
Well, we really do 2 things. We haven't even started the St. Francis stuff yet, because the game plan specifics, we're going to run our plays, and we're not going to make up a lot of things. So what we did during the bye week is we studied us. We worked on us more than we did anything else. Our fundamentals, we did stances and starts and first steps and hands and eyes and footwork and how to snap your hips. And we went back to the very beginnings of football for our team, where we start every spring, where we start every fall. But the last time we did that was August 8th, 9th, and 10th. So we went back to those 3 days, took those same scripts out, took those same practice plans out, got 30 minutes of individual drill work, and we worked on us. And then in the office, we worked on us. We went back and self-scouted, studied what we'd done, when we'd done it, what patterns of behavior we had developed, how can we get better at certain things, and what do we need to throw out because it doesn't work. that ability to analyze ourselves and to use our analytics in a positive way, that's where we spent our time last week. What blitzes are we running where we're not getting the result we want? We're not getting to the quarterback, or, what coverages are really not getting some things covered. And, all those, that self-evaluation takes a lot of time. When you have 5 games and you're running 200 snaps in a game, you have 1,000 snaps to get through. In the kick, what rushes on punt are worthwhile. What kids can really do certain things under pressure in the games. And so that's what we spent that whole off week doing, was just analyzing ourselves. And then come this weekend, we started with the St. Francis. We got the St. Francis game on Saturday, in film on Sunday. And then Sunday and Monday we spent on St. Francis like we would in a normal week.
Coach, you're talking about self-scouting, and I do a lot with baseball as well. Sometimes I hear coaches, they get scouting reports from opposing teams and of their team, their specific team, and say, here you go, this is what other teams get when they play us. This is what they're going to throw to you, and yada, yada, yada. How do you use...
How do they get that?
They just they have friends in the coaching profession and whatnot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Football guys would never do that.
But I mean, so you
No, I'd cut my arm up before I give you my information.
But you self-scout each other. So how do you share that information with your team?
That's easy. Most of the self-scouting and coaching. What we're doing is, because different than baseball, we call every play. We package every play. We call every defense. So you could study what you're calling and why you're calling it. Where do you create tendencies? Is it down and distance? Is it formational? Is it field position? So we study ourselves every way you can. That way we know what the opponent sees. And that's the first way we do it. And then we go back and study the personnel. Are we asking kids to do things they can do? And, what worked and what didn't and why? So, we break down our self-analysis into 4 different phases, and then you start with the technical parts and end up with the personnel parts. And then combine the analysis, the answers we find, into playing better in the second half of the year.
One more tricky question for you, Coach, before we move on in our segment today. You got a bye week on Saturday, so you get to watch Robert Morris and St. Francis play live on ESPN3. Does it change how you see things, seeing how it happens live in a game?
I'm so old that we used to be able to live scout football games, and I thought there was great value in it. I think if you're there and you can watch the interaction on the sideline, and you can see a lot of little things from composure and poise to how they handle adversity, I don't know that it changes what you call, but I think it gives you more insight into the team and the children and, all the stuff. On watching ESPN3, I think anecdotally it's fun because, you can listen to the announcers and you have an idea what they think, but it's not going to change what we do in that regard. The football, the all-22 film we get, we all exchange every game film. That's where the real analysis comes from, and you make your decisions on what you're going to do. But you can watch the game and some things, like 22's the best player in our league and has been since we've been in the league. There's some things that jump out at you. Boy, number 2, the tailback's just a dude. They have a handful of top-end players. They've done a terrific job of finding top-end talent. The team is all good, but they have a handful of guys that are better than the rest of our league. I don't know how they did that there. Maybe I'll ask their coach, see if he gives me some secrets. but no, they're watching the TV, boy, it just jumps off the screen at you. Just because when you watch the flow of the game, there's some kids that just make play after play after play, and you go, wow, that's fun to watch.
Talking about St. Francis, the Bulldogs' opponent, this Saturday in Loretto, Pennsylvania, noon kickoff. We'll talk about the Red Flash when we come back. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on 1240 in the Bryant Sports Network. We're back inside Blackie's Bulldog Tavern. Tristan Hobbs alongside head coach Marty Fine. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on 1240 in the Bryant Sports Network. Coach, I wanted to ask you about your JV program before we go on with our next segment.
How long is this TV show?
30 minutes.
Okay, we better speed it up because there's going to be no food left by the time we finish. This is like a ravenous, the place is jam-packed. You can't find a parking spot. You come in here, and they're eating like locusts. Like some of these people have never had their last meal. Like the electric chair is going to go off any minute in Blackie's Tavern. I know the food is great, but these people are fighting. They're going to stab each other with these forks. The people at Blackie's are going to have to use plastic cutlery here soon. The fighting over here is just unbelievable, and the food is terrific tonight. Absolutely terrific.
Really good food tonight. But so, Coach, your JV program, my uncle coached for 45 years in college baseball, had a JV program for all those years, and he always preached about how important the program was to get guys playing, And then numerous stories of guys that played JV their freshman year, made the varsity squad as a sophomore and contributed to a national championship team. During the year, getting a chance to play on JV, then getting a chance to play on varsity. Have you seen that same result at Bryant in your 13 years?
We have, actually. We track it a little bit, but the most interesting thing to track is to go back and look at, we give out awards, the Scout Team Player of the Week and the Scout Team Player of the Year. And those are the guys that are giving the look. Those are the JV kids giving looks all week. And it's a shocking thing how many of those kids that were the Scout Team Players of the Year ended up being all-conference players for us. Shocking. When you practice good, you play good. And you go to the JV game and you just sit and watch it because I let the young coaches coach it. And it's amazing that the guys that can make plays there make the plays in the varsity games. And even if they don't know everything, and you know who to start training, you know who to all of a sudden run down on kickoff because they can run down on kickoff and they fit it up and they get the ball on the ground. So it's a great evaluation tool. I also love the fact that we'll play 4 or 5 JV games and they get a chance to go compete. I think there's nothing better in life than competition. And you want to see the guys that when a light comes on, even if it's a light for a JV game or whatever the light is, a ping pong tournament, I don't care what it is. I want to see you compete. I want to see it where it matters to you, where your own pride, your own willingness to put yourself out there, which is hard for people to do because when you compete, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But it's a great insight for me into what some of these kids are because there are some that aren't great players, but the lights come on and they play better than their ability because they care and they're competitive by nature. And that's what we want.
Was it unique for you when you first got here to have that type of, it's almost as if it's almost like a feeder program, I don't want to say that, but to have the ability to...
Unique is an interesting word. I don't know that it's unique. I was also the head coach at Navy's prep school, so I played a bunch of those kind of things, and we had JV team at Navy, and so I've been exposed to it over the years. I think it's unique here in that we don't have JV practices. They're just with the varsity. And whatever JV game we play, we just take the varsity game plan, hand it to them, and say, better pay attention to meetings because we're going to give you those plays, and you better be able to execute them at a high level. And for the most part, we've been able to do that. We've been real pleased with the development of those young kids.
And as well for your coaches, you mentioned that they get a chance to kind of coach these games. How has that helped them kind of maybe see things differently because they get a chance to kind of do some things they may not be able to do in the varsity contest? Obviously, they're still coaching, but a little bit of a different mindset.
Well, that's an interesting one. I don't know that I've asked the young coaches that, but I think it's I think if they're honest and look at themselves, they can say, boy, we stopped them, or boy, we moved the ball, and did we do the things these kids can manage to do well? Did we stress them? Did we push the frontiers of their knowledge and their abilities? Did we force them to play at a high level? I evaluate the coaches just like we do the players, and the better they do, then the more responsibilities we give them. So the hope is that they're self-analyzing that, and at the end of the year when I sit down with them, I bring those games up.
Coach, one more thing before we get to St. Francis in our final segment. Your team the last 8 years, 9-0 after a bye week. What can you attribute that success to?
I hadn't thought of it in those terms. I think, and I don't know how many of those are home and how many away, and I mean there's so many other factors and how many had weather involved, but I do think that a lot of times in football, in our league, the games are decided in the fourth quarter, and the fresher team has an advantage. And I think one thing a bye does is it refreshes your kids, if you handle it well. I think you can overdo it, and you can wear them out in the bye week as easy as you can during a game. But if you do it right, I believe your kids can come back from it and feel a little bit refreshed and a little bit like, it's a new start and a clean slate and get excited again like you are at the beginning of the season. It's a long, long year for football. Doesn't sound like 11 games is a lot, but boy, is it a long year between the weightlifting and the meetings and all the stuff we put into it that you can get wore down. And if you try and go 11 weeks in a row with one of those, it's just a bear. So having it come at the right time really matters. And I feel like this one's really at a good time, and I feel like we're going to come out of this thing with really good legs and really good energy. And I think energy and momentum, those words carry more in football than a lot of other places. You're a baseball guy, and in baseball there's that famous phrase, momentum only lasts until you see the next great pitcher. That momentum is only good as the next guy taking the hill, because that's what wins and loses baseball, pitching, defense. But for us, momentum's a real thing. It's a tangible thing. You felt it at Maine.
Yep.
You can put your hands on momentum. You could feel when your team has great energy and when they relax a little bit. We relaxed it a couple times at Maine, and you could feel it. And no, don't relax. You got to go. But when you have to play at that high level week after week with the Montana States and the homecoming game and the Maine and the Brown, that it's hard to do. It takes a huge amount of energy, and to start with a full tank of energy really matters. Again, we look at every week as a one-game season. We really do. And, I don't even know who you play next a lot of times, and that's not a job. I mean, I just don't know because I can't split my energy and my brain that way. But I do know we have 4 weeks in a row of our league, and I know to get them as fresh as we can now for that. It's half a sprint and half a marathon. It's like the 400. You're kind of sprinting, but you got a long way to go. And so, we have to go 4 weeks in a row, and we're at St. Francis, and I know we go to Pennsylvania again, and I know we have one home on the 22nd. I'm not sure the order of all this, but I know we have to be able to get on the bus and get off and have great energy when we get on that field. The only way you're going to win this game is to play for 4 quarters as hard as you can, because you're going to play a really good team, a really physical team at home for their homecoming. They're not going to just roll over and play dead. They never have. They never will. Their coach was the NEC Coach of the Year last year. He played in the NFL and they played in Pro Bowls. I mean, they get how to play. And so to beat them, you have to be really physical and really fast and full of energy, and it has to last the whole game. And that's what we've been able to do coming out of bye weeks.
Talking about the Red Flash when we come back. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show. Now on 1240 in the Bryant Sports Network. We're back inside Blackie's Bulldog Tavern. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on 1240 in the Bryant Sports Network. Coach, your Bulldogs getting set to go out to Loretto, Pennsylvania to take on the Red Flash in a place that has always been unrelenting weather-wise. So we've been there for some...
entertaining, if nothing else.
Entertaining. Boy, we've been there in downpours. We've been there, I think it snowed one year. It's hard to find a sunny day when we've been there, and it's just one of those things, but always a tough place to play, tough place to go to. It's a in-between type of... It's a 7-hour trip. It's hard to...
Well, it's 8 hours in the bus, especially when you get on those little windy roads. So
you stop and you
drive
get off
all day Friday, and you finally get there, and you...
unwind. And
everything that could go wrong on a trip has gone wrong in Loretto. We had no hot water in the showers one Saturday morning. We've had weather. The last time we were there, it rained when we had the ball, and it was sunny when they had the ball. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
It happened 3 possessions in a row coming out of halftime. We came out, we got the ball, it rained. It poured. It was sunny when we went in for halftime. We came out, it was pouring on our heads. We got the ball, 3 and out. They get the ball, the rain stopped. I was
couldn't script it.
Oh, good, the rain stopped. They drive it, we get the ball back, it rains again. It happened 3 times, Jason. I've never seen anything like it in all my adult life.
You couldn't script it.
No. Have you ever heard the story about when we got gas down there?
No.
Oh, the quick radio story, and I'll keep it as clean as I can. One of the years we go down there, and it was early in October, and we left here, it was about 82 degrees or something. We got there, and it's on top of a mountain, and all of a sudden a storm blew in, and we go out to warm up the next morning. We don't have any weather capes. The headsets are broken. All these things are going on, and it's sleet and snow and ice, and the wind is coming across. It looks like a hurricane in the winter. And we're freezing. So we come off the field to warm up, and the locker room's too far away to go back. You got to go up a mountain, around 2 dormitories, across the street, up a parking lot, and into the back of a building. You can't do it. So you got to stay down by the field. So I said to someone, it was the first time we were there, I said to a nice old fellow that was a caretaker, and I said, is there a place we can hide? He said, yeah, you can go under the bleachers. I said, great. So we go under there, and the wind is howling from both ends. I said, can we close the doors? He said, sure. Would you like some heat? I said, we'd love some heat. So he closes 2 doors, and I stay outside because I'm not get claustrophobic and under a stadium. And the next thing I know, it's banging on the doors, and the kids can't get out. And I open the door, and the kids are coming out, and we got kids thrown up, and there's no bathroom. So the kids are in line with a porta-john with the regular fans. They won't let them cut in line. We got kids thrown up in the snow. What the hell's going on? They turned on kerosene heaters with the doors closed. They gassed us. We had 4 kids couldn't go out for the opening kickoff. They were throwing up. Meant well, but I mean, just at that place, things happen. It's like it's a time warp. And they do a great job of coaching, and you have no idea what's going to happen when you get there, so you better be prepared.
Coach, they had a big offensive line that you've talked at length about how well they block, about how well they're taught to block.
Boy.
Their head coach played in the NFL. He knows what he's doing, and he's taught these guys well.
And this is the best group they've had. They played better this year on both sides, 3 phases, but both sides, than they ever have. They're older. They've all played a lot. They all started as freshmen and sophomores. This athletic line has actually gotten more athletic and more fit, and they block in space at second levels better than they ever have. They've always been the best blocking team in our league, and it's never been really close. But now they block at second levels better than everybody else as well. They're more athletic. They stay on blocks better. And they've had the best tailback in the league. Now, we've had Rico. We've had some good ones. But they've arguably had the Harbridge was a great player. And then they had Jakari Dixon, who was, wow, he led the country in rushing. That's hard to do. And now they have this young fella, number 2, Beckley. And so they've had 3 great ones right in a row. And we had Jordan Brown and Rico. But they've had 3 in a row as well or better. And they block in space so darn well. So they're a handful because they don't make mistakes, and they get on you and stay on you, and their back is so good. When they get you segmented and they can create separation at levels, he can get through one level at one angle and the second level at a different angle. And boy, is that hard to defend.
Balanced, pass happy, run happy.
Oh, they're going to run it. If they had their choice, we'd run an inside drill and tell the receivers to go home and take their pads off. They're going to run the ball. They're going to shorten the game. They're going to keep their defense off the field. Some of this sounds familiar. They do it better than anybody in the league. Last year they had almost 33 minutes of possession. They're favored by the coaches to win the league. They and Duquesne are clearly the 2 best teams in our league right now. They do what they do really, really well. And they have a great player at every level of the segment. They have the sophomore receiver, number 11. He's 6'4", he's 200 pounds, he runs. He had 10 catches for 190 yards or some ridiculous thing a couple of weeks ago. He's dynamic. He makes acrobatic catches, and he can run routes, and he's long, and he's athletic. He's a matchup nightmare for us. And then they have a slot receiver who's quick in and out of breaks. But really, they're good because they're all good. That you don't turn on the film and say, well, this guy can't and this guy can't. You say, oh, they're all good on the offensive line. The tight end's a tough guy. Caught the ball at Montana for a touchdown. The big receiver's great. The little receiver's great. The quarterback's a 4-year starter and does a lot of things. And most of all, they got the tailback. They got a guy that if he gets going, he didn't have a great game last week. He had over 100 yards. When he gets going, he is a handful, boy. You have to really tackle the back. And when they shorten the game and keep the clock running and the back has the ball, a lot of teams just get impatient. I mean, you don't get a lot of snaps against them, and that's a problem for us.
Coach, we're going to play that game where I say a phrase and you give me the first thing that comes to your mind. So
chicken wings. That's the first thing on my mind. They're right behind you. They're better looking than you. People are fighting over them, and then when we get done, I'm not going to have any chicken wings. You wanted a different phrase.
Yeah, Lorenzo Jerome.
Wow. For NFL player. Their safety, number 22, is a Taravella High School kid. Danny Marguerite's high school coach, and Danny Marguerite is as good a high school coach as there might be in the country. I've known him for 30 years. But their safety is the best player I've seen in our league since I got here, 8 years ago in the league. We've had a lot of kids go. Jose Gums from Monmouth went, and he's playing for the Redskins. I mean, a lot of NFL players come out of our league. We put 4 or 5 guys in NFL camps. He's the most dynamic player. He's long, he's athletic, he's fast. In the last game, he returns a kick 80 yards. He intercepts 2 footballs. He tackles everything that moves. They put him on offense. He catches a pass for a 40-some yard touchdown. He plays quarterback in the Wildcat. He's unbelievable. He's everywhere. He blocked a kick. There's nothing he doesn't do. He is the best player we've ever seen in this league. He'll be an NFL player.
Is athleticism? I know that watching the game on Saturday, the broadcasters talked about him baiting the quarterback into throwing a pass that he got and then intercepted.
Well, you love this little announcer thing, don't you?
Well, I do. I like announcers.
Yeah, I know you do. You just want to say the announcers are smarter than the coaches. That's what you tell me every week. Go ahead. You can say it right on the radio if you really want to. You notice he didn't deny it very much. All the people are listening. Your mother's all shaking her head right now. Oh, that's my baby. The reality is this. He's sophisticated as well. And there's been other great athletes, but they don't have the level of sophistication he has. The Robert Morris group is a well-coached group, and they got good players, and they run a reverse, and he beats the reverse to the line of scrimmage. He tackles it 2 yards deep without anything holding up the reverse guy. He sees it. He has great instinct. He's a terrific tackler in open space. He goes down and gets your legs, and you don't move another inch. We couldn't get away from him last year. He is, again, when you combine the whole skill set, hands, speed, athleticism, length, sophistication, which, nuance, there's never been a better player in the league since I've been here. He is the MVP in our league. I don't think there's any question about it.
The Bulldogs are 6-2 all time against St. Francis. They won last year 26-24 here at
We did.
We did. The
Don't say
Bulldogs,
they
the Bulldogs won 26-24.
That's us, the good guys.
You guys.
Don't forget who pays your check.
That's right.
You want chicken wings, you root for us.
That's right.
Okay.
Bulldogs, a 26-3 lead in the third quarter. Had to hold off St. Francis late. I believe it was a blocked punt for a touchdown you guys scored. And then there was 2 pass plays. I believe you guys played an outstanding 3 quarters. And then Chucky Keenan, a great deflection on a 2-point conversion to secure the victory for your team. What will Bryant have to do this weekend to be successful
Same thing.
again?
You know, we're going to have ebbs and flows. We're going to have some moments where we make plays on offense. We're going to have some moments where we make plays in the kick. We're going to have some moments on defense where we get a stop. And all those things came to fruition in order for us to win 26-24. They don't have any weaknesses, so we're not going to get away from them. For us to win, we got to control 22. We got to know when he's on the field. You got to know he's there for a reason, and you can't get fooled by it. You have to control the run game. Because if they could just run it and stay on the field, we won't get the ball. You just won't have enough snaps to really go score. And then you can't turn it over. You can't give them any short fields. You can't let them get explosive returns. You can't let them they get out on people. They have too many explosive plays. So you have to keep the ball inside and in front. You got to kick it and punt it where you want it so your coverage can constrict the field. You got to tackle well. I mean, to me, it's the most fundamental thing that we need to do to win this game. We'll get away with herking and jerking on offense a little bit because they're so good on defense. But if you don't tackle in this game, you don't have a chance. You don't give yourself any chance at all if you can't tackle because they're great in space, Between the kick and punt returns with 22, between getting him in on offense, between Bagley, between 11, between 3, they create space for their great athletes. And they're going to get the ball to them, especially with Zach, the senior quarterback, Dreyer. So all that's the case. You can't let those plays become, oh, my gods. They got to be good plays. You get them on the ground, you got to keep playing. So you got to tackle. And if we tackle and get the ball on the ground a bunch, I think we'll be there in the fourth quarter in a really good game.
The Bulldogs head out to Loretto, Pennsylvania this weekend to take on the St. Francis Red Flash in a Northeast Conference game. That game will be kicked off at 12 o'clock. You can watch live on an AC Front Row. You can also listen to Tim Lynch and I on ON 1240, either in your car or online at onworldwide.com. Bulldogs and Red Flash Saturday at noon. Coach, good luck. We'll see you out there.
That's it?
That's it?
Chicken wing time.
Chicken wing time.
That's terrific. Thank you for your help.
See you next Monday, folks. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on ON 1240 and the Bryant Sports Network.